Hope nobody's machined stainless steel. Wow. Working on the milling machine. I'm not going to tear this down and do a total restoration. Maybe ever, because this is a imported machine. Just holds not enough value to take up that much of my time to me. But I do want to clean it up. This thing is hideously dirty, and it's really too big for me to handle by myself. I think it needs relubricated and just a good basic service. Taking the end bearing plates off, taking the lead screw out of it now for the cross feed. I'm hoping after I take, actually, you know what, I should be able to slide the table off of it anyways. Probably sticky as hell though. Anyways, take this baby apart, cycle its bits and pieces through the parts washer. Oh my goodness, that's heavy. Every tool in the shop has a purpose, and it's almost like it's hard to get started on any project without all of the tools, without a complete shop. Having a parts washer available to me has really gone a long ways towards easing these projects. Now, at the time that I'm filming this, what a quaint word, filming. I've finally got the gray QC42 running. Remove the gib. Should be pretty loose now. Gotta be careful here. I'll flip this thing off into the floor. Let me go check the parts washer and make sure I have room to set that down. All right. Oh, what a heavy cake. Oh, look at this. Look, they figured out how to stop me from having an accident. I need to separate my metrics and SAEs. A lot of wrenches that look just about right, that aren't just about right. These are adjustable stops. I've been wanting to work on this, but I really had to discipline myself not to touch it until I got something else put back together. I just can't have every machine in the shop broke down. Oh, what a pig! Oh my God. Whew, I wonder what that weighs. Wow! Man, that thing's heavy. Full of junk too. Hope nobody's machined stainless steel. Wow. Dangerous business. A little bit of rust on that slide there. That would just be machining my ways if I didn't polish that off of there. Got some parts there on the floor, waiting on the solvent to evaporate. This part's simply too heavy for me to move by myself. I'm going to use Purple Power, which has been a pretty awesome product. Nut out of there. Now, I don't have any aluminum. Well, let me get this away from here. I could have an aluminum dial on it. You don't want to have any aluminum around this Purple Power. Maybe I need to refill this. I like this so much I bought the company. I went back and bought a gallon so I could refill my bottle. Well, this is terrible. There we go. Oh, what's going on? Maybe the bottle is just too empty. Base is going to have to clean it up with a wipe down. Trying to get this ring off of here. I don't know if it's just stuff from years of being ignored, or if it's pressed on there. There's no fasteners to hold it. brush around here and scrub around on that. This is a brush I got in a kit from Harbor Freight, and it's kind of like a wire brush, except there's so few wires in it, it's more like a plastic bristle brush. I hate that later mentality. I'll do it later. I'll fix it up later. I'll paint it later. Here I am doing it. But I don't know, I'm pretty excited about having a mill, but I just can't fall in love with this one, that's all. The mill I want, I think it's an 8225 or 8230 Clausing Atlas, which is a really cool bench top mill. They sell for almost as much as an inexpensive Bridgeport. Not as good as a Bridgeport, but they're cool. It's going to be part of my Atlas collection. If you, I'll try to remember to link it in the video here, but there's a guy on YouTube that's done a restoration. Not a real thorough video series, but beautiful machine when it gets done. And it's kind of that classic American iron home shop machinist mill. And probably kind of expensive back in the day, and that's why there's a whole lot more lathes and not too many mills around. Who knows, they may not have even offered them when Atlas was its own thing before Clausing bought them out. I'm not sure about the timing of all that stuff. Fully expecting to have to go over this more than once. Oh, that looks so much better. You can see a couple little areas that could stand a little more attention. Now you might be wondering why, since I have it this far apart, wouldn't I go ahead and paint it? And there's going to be a part of me that's asking the same question. But all I could do is really, in the time that I have allotted, put a really terrible paint job on it, because these castings are known to have a lot of body work in them. When I start stripping the paint off, it's going to be a mess. There'll be Bondo falling out. It's really a project to do properly. They just have a lot of holes and cavities in their castings. It's communist China. Socialism. It's communism. It's where good enough's good enough and get by is good enough, I guess. And kind of thing that's overrun in this country. We don't throw away a lot of castings like we would here in the United States. We got this thing just about as clean as I'm going to be able to get it without totally refinishing it. That's not a surface that any waves are running on. I don't think this is in a lot of use. You can still see the scraping. Probably been in somebody's home shop. Get that nastiness out of that gap. You never know what's back there. That little mouse could come running out of there if I didn't clean it properly. Paint just falling off of it. There we go. I think we're getting closer to putting things together. Got the slide installed. Adjusted the nut. Notice here on the cross slide, this is interesting how a machine tool works. This is a thread, and then here is a very close fitting nut. The nut is split. They don't all work this way, but this nut is split, and there's an Allen bolt here, and I can tighten this up. Now notice there's slack in the screw, and this slack in the screw translates into some slack that runs back and forth this way. And I noticed this screw was loose, and this actually pulls this is threaded also, pulls this in and distorts the nut to take up all the slack. Now normally when you tap a hole, there's about, the bolt only fills up about 70% of the thread, and I'm going to adjust it since I have it apart. What this will translate into is less play in the dials, less slack to take up every time I move the dial. Now, I just got the fastener seated. I really need a socket wrench here, a lot better than this little L wrench. I might actually own one. Now I could get rid of all of the play if I made the shaft turn tight, but then it would wear quickly and it would be difficult to use. So there's a happy medium in there. And the happy medium is not a palm reader. I doubt that these have ever been adjusted. Probably when this was manufactured, the tolerance was very tight. So we're getting a little snugger. And incidentally, the way this is actually adjusted is not by how much wiggle it has. It's just easy for me to illustrate to someone that doesn't know about this stuff what's happening. Ah, look. Now now it's hard to turn. I've got enough grip to turn it. I'm going to loosen it up a little bit. Look at that. Just that little movement of the wrench makes this easy to turn. I think it's probably a good idea for most people to buy replacement nuts for your machines. What if it turns out it's not made anymore? That would be a challenging part to make. We could of course make one. Well, that little tiny movement of the wrench was too much. There we go. That's as tight as I'm going to get it. Oh, wow. I can't believe how heavy this is. Feels like it's every bit of 80 pounds to me. Oh, wow. I'm so relieved that I'm not holding it up anymore. Well, we're working our way back into the condition we started in. Except we're going to have nice, smooth moving part, better working controls. This is called a gib, and this is an adjustable wedge-shaped piece that goes in these dovetails. Right now, there's slack in the dovetails. And when I slide this long tapered wedge in, it'll take up the slack. And this can be finely adjusted so to take up for wear. And to get the table very, very slop free. If there was any slop in the table at all, as the cutter was cutting on the piece, it would be moving the table around. That would be no good. Now notice this video is not intended to be a complete treatise on gibs and this particular milling machine or any of that stuff. I'm just generally just basically shop update kind of thing and what am I doing today kind of video. So I'm not presenting myself as any kind of an expert here. Although maybe I am, I don't know. Probably not. But I do understand how these things work. There's always more to learn. But you shouldn't be afraid to work on stuff like this. It's not that scary. You can take it apart, you can put it back together. It's not the end of the world if you get to something you can't figure out. You can always get some help. Study, come back to it the next day. Okay, now you can't see any slop, but I can feel a little bit of slop. And how I'll actually set this gib is as I'm turning the handle and moving the table back and forth, I'll set it so that it adds a little bit of tension to the table. I'm just kind of wiggling it around to just kind of get it somewhere in the neighborhood. Not that that's really very important at this point. That might be too tight. And the screw head goes into a notch in the gib so that I can force the gib in or jack the wedge out by backing the screw out. It's fully adjustable, really neat, simple system.